Stress. He needed this job. And I tell you what, even though on to tonight's game with these shortstops that we're going to see tonight, Nomar and Tejada, even though you're managing against them, didn't you quietly sit in the dugout and go, these guys are fun to watch?
Well, you bet, Boomer. When you watch these two guys that play shortstop here tonight, you really appreciate how athletic they are and how much they mean to their respective teams. Nomar Garcia-Parra, everybody knows him. He's a perennial all-star. He's in the middle of their field defensively. He has become a run producer. Look at the AL leaders in RBIs. They're all three young shortstops, and they certainly have developed into producers. The biggest surprise to me is the way that Miguel Tejada has developed as a hitter. Art Howe needed somebody to hit third. Miguel Tejada says, I'll take over, and he certainly has. He has blossomed hitting in the middle of that order. They looked for somebody to replace Jason Giambi. They thought it might be Chavez. It may be Tejada.
And he loves the fact that he knows he's going to get up in the first inning. One of the guys who may hold a key to Boston's success these last 6 weeks, their number 3 starter, John Burkett. He goes against young Aaron Harang here at Fenway in a moment.
ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Jiffy Lube. Jiffy Lube, the well-oiled machine. And in part by Zima. Zima Clear Malt Beverage. For a refreshing alternative, go with Plan Z. And Nextel, how business gets done.
Beautiful night in Boston. The shot of the Prudential Center, not far here from Fenway Park. One of the great places to come and play as the Oakland A's and the Boston Red Sox tee it up for the second time this season here in Boston. The Red Sox are winning 2 of 3 in the first time in for Oakland in May. That was just before the A's went through a boatload of changes, and now this time in the A's have won game 1, 9-1 last night. This is young Mark Ellis, a rookie who is impressed at second base. He is in against John Burkett as we get underway, and Burkett is quickly at 1-1. And Burkett is always going to be around the plate, or at least you say always, but that's what you expect out of Burkett.
Well, he is a guy that won't overpower with velocity. He has to locate his pitches to be effective, and he's got good movement on his fastball. He goes back door with that fastball to get ahead of Ellis.
Oh, and he paints the corner there, says home plate umpire Greg Gibson. So a good stop for Burkett as Ellis strikes out looking. Here is our Jiffy Lube lineup for Art Howe and the Oakland A's. And there's Tejada, who we talked about hitting in the number 3 hole. David Justice, DH, and I played left field last night, and they need his bat, Buck.
Well, he has had a track history of performing down the stretch with the Indians, with the Yankees, and now Oakland needs him to step up and provide that veteran leadership with the bat.
This is one-time Red Sox Scott Hatteberg, who looks at a strike on the outside corner. And I know it's just the second batter, but it looks as if Gibson will give the pitches over the corner or even close to it. And Burkett is quick to probably recognize that, having been around the pond a couple of times.
Well, veterans like Burkett, they'll kind of survey the situation and see how much of the plate they're going to get early in the ball game. And once he establishes that, he'll try to wear it out.
This one is low, 2-1 now. Burkett began the year 7-0 in his first 9 starts. We'll break it down later. You see, we'll go back to this. He's 10-4, which, I mean, most pitchers would take on August 7th, and that's since I go back to it some. But after that 7-0 start, he's been 3-4. He's always going to give up more hits than innings pitched. His key is the control, which hasn't left him. His last start was atrocious as Hatteberg pops this up. Coming in is Trot Nixon, and he'll make the play. His last start, he just went 1 1/3 and allowed 8 runs, but the start before that was a complete game victory over the Baltimore Orioles. And here is Grady Little's defense tonight with Cliff Floyd, the new left fielder.
Now they have an outstanding outfield with Floyd, Damon, and Nixon, and the third baseman, Shea Hillenbrand, has really developed into one of the premier young third basemen in all of baseball. He's got great range, very athletic, a strong arm, and he has certainly blossomed 4th in the American League fielding, and every day he has really become a very steady player.
Well, more than just a steady player is the all-star Miguel Tejada de come, Tejada de fall. We around the game have known that, you know what, we know there's A-Rod, we know there's Jeter, we know there's Nomar, and we know there's the brilliance of Omar Vizquel. But there's this kid in Oakland that now has opened everyone's eyes, without a doubt, this year, because of a 300 batting average, a 24-game hitting streak, which just ended last night. The team record, by the way, is 25. He's hit safely in 35 of his last 37 games, has Tejada. The power numbers are there. His fielding is sparkled. And as you pointed out in the beginning, he's taken that number 3 spot to heart.
Well, Art Howe was searching for someone to plug into that spot, and he wasn't really sure how Tejada was going to handle it. Miguel has asked several times, hey, I can hit third, I can hit third. Art Howe recognized his ability as a hitter, but now he's certainly taken it and run with it.
Chopper to his counterpart, Garcia Parra. Across to Brian Daubach in a 1-2-3 first inning for John Burkett. When we return, the Red Sox hit the plate. Chris Berman, Buck Martinez with you in the bottom of the first inning here. Wednesday Night Baseball presented by Jiffy Lube, and that's who presents our lineup tonight. Grady Little's lineup for the Red Sox. Johnny Damon back out there leading off at center field. They need his speed, and there's Trot Nixon in right field. He's become a mainstay here for the Red Sox, whether it's center or it's right or whether it's left, Buck.
Well, you see, Trot Nixon has been red hot since the All-Star break, and he's got to change his approach at the plate. Early in the season, he was looking dead red, trying to sit on that fastball and really do some damage, but found out he was out in front of it. Now he's looking breaking ball, a little more patient, and because of that, he's spraying the ball all over the ballpark.
Johnny Damon said he could have gone last night, but he was scuffling a little bit, so with the off day Monday and then another day, 2 days off, and sometimes 1 day is one thing, Buck, right? But when you get 2 days off as a player, it must seem like a week.
This time of the year, it seems like a week's vacation.
This is the pitcher tonight making his 11th major league start, Aaron Harang, 6'7", 240 pounds from San Diego. Pitched at San Diego State. And he's a guy who we'll see with size, but he's not necessarily. Now he has I mean, Buck, you can tell that he's got a good fastball that nevertheless 51 Ks and 53 2/3. But maybe when he stands there 6'7" as a hitter, they expect it to be 100 miles an hour. And if he's a smart pitcher, he'll use that to his favor.
Well, when you're as big as Harang, you have an advantage in hitters in that you throw on a downward plane, and that makes it difficult for hitters to pick it up. Most of his strikeouts have come because he's got a little extra hop on his fastball when he throws it up around the letters.
Damon goes the other way, but Eric Chavez very quickly across the Hatteberg, and there is one down here in the Red Sox first. And the Oakland defense, John Mabry in left field tonight, getting the start as Durham will sit.
Well, they certainly have an outstanding defense on the infield. The left side is rock solid. Mark Ellis, the youngster who was called up in June, has done a heck of a job for Art Howe defensively. Very athletic, very enthusiastic, very intelligent, and he's just a ball player. One of those guys you look at day in and day out and you say, okay, this guy knows what he's doing out there, and they don't have to remind him how to position himself very often.
Trot Nixon up, and just a thought on Oakland. And I was here when they came in early May. Carlos Pena was at first. Menachino was at second. Jeremy Jambi was in left field. I mean, for a team that has been to the playoffs the last 2 years, and for a team that could go 3 years in a row, and for a team that, I'm not talking about off-season free agent moves, I'm talking about mid-season moves early, unusual to change that many position players that early. Little tapper that Harang will just toss over to Hatteberg, so 2 out.
Well, Chris, I think your point is a good one in that the A's don't sit back and say, okay, we're not going to do anything. Art Howe says, hey, we need a new second baseman. We'll plug in Ellis, give him a chance. And when Ellis came up, he made the most of his opportunity. Pena wasn't doing the job. They had to move him out of there. He got off to a fast start. The league caught up to him a little bit. Now he's in Detroit. So they're the kind of guys that you have to plug in and constantly fine-tune this team.
Here is Nomar hitting at .310 with 19 homers, 91 ribbies. As we pointed out, top 3 guys in the American League at RBIs, all shortstops. You get a guy from another generation, and that must be like a hallucination. Wait, what do you mean? One guy's 94, the next 2 91, and they're all shortstops, and they're not Ernie Banks.
Right. You go back to Mark Belanger and guys like that were all defense and no hit, and you wanted a guy at shortstop. Eddie Brinkman's another one that comes to mind. Louis Aparicio. They were defenders. Now the shortstop position has become an offensive position. Look at those numbers, and that'll tell you all you need to know.
Belanger would say, no, wait a minute, that's 19 RBIs, right?
Well, it's just a different position now. Now you have great athletes playing shortstop. Guys that can field. They've got strong arms. They can steal bases. They can hit the ball out of the ballpark. And the majority of those prime shortstops are hitting third in their lineups.
As is the case with both tonight. Harang 3-1 to Nomar.
This is what you don't want to do to this Red Sox lineup, is get yourself into a hitter count 3-1 where he can really turn it loose and look for one pitch to drive.
Yeah, Nomar patient. He's aboard, and Manny Ramirez coming up. I asked Nomar before the game, I said, so what's your approach going to be against the young guy? I know you have the scouting report, but he goes, hey, I step in and really told him in the on-deck circle, I don't know if he's a righty or a lefty. I said,
scouting reports.
I said, don't change your things. He says, I got a batter to figure it out. I'll be kneeling down there, you know. So I heard he's tall.
Big guy.
Yeah.
What's he throw? I don't know.
The Jeters told me the same thing. Well, you're hitting ninth or first or third. What do you change? Nothing.
And that's different when you talk to a George Brad or a Tony Gwynn. I mean, they can tell you everything about a pitcher, about what he's going to do and how he's going to pitch him in at bats.
Here is Manny sporting a new do for the homestand. Yeah, Manny does change the hairstyle every now and then. It looks like almost like a golden Brillo coming out of there, doesn't it? I mean, it's a classic. I mean, it was great. He had a big smile on his face before the game. It's the 21st century golden Oscar Gamble look. I don't know. Ooh, Harang gets that one. And it's 0-2 to Manny.
Manny, standing at the plate, got a fastball inside and a fastball outside, so he's in a hole 0-2. And the thing about Manny Ramirez is when he gets in a hole like this, he really targets right center. He will drive the ball away, so even though this short porch is inviting, you oftentimes can jam him with a fastball here. Fastball inside. If you pitch in Fenway Park and allow the Green Monster to get in your head, you're going to have problems. You stay out over the plate to this Red Sox lineup and they'll wear you out. Years ago when Bill Lee was pitching in here left-handed, he always pitched inside because guys would go out over the plate and hook the ball on the outside part of the plate and get it up over the Green Monster. You've got to pitch inside in this ballpark.
Nomar at first. 0-2 pitch on the way to Manny. That'll be out of play.
Where young pitchers get into a jam in a situation like this, they're ahead. He's pounded him inside a couple of times, and they'll say, okay, now I can get him out with a breaking ball away, and that's when Ramirez will really take advantage of you. Manny never changes his approach. He takes care of the outer 3/4 of the plate first, and then he fights off that inside pitch just to waste those good pitches. One time, Manny. Coming in there again.
Manny had been slumping. You know, he actually picked it up right around the All-Star game, and as odd as it might seem, he had a good All-Star game and a couple of hits. Remember, and he'd been hurt, but he was elected and he played. It was almost as if he was standing on that number 9 for Ted Williams. You know, the left fielder, non-parallel here. The 9 that they put. He did not go. But it's almost as if, my God, I'm standing on this number 9 in left field in Milwaukee. I better do something. And he had a couple of hits.
Got energized.
He did. He's been a little bit slumping on that road trip that the Red Sox went for. It's a little different number 9 here. It's just cut in the grass. And they obviously need him in a big way to get thumping. Ooh. On the inside corner, Harang. He ties up Manny Ramirez. We're scoreless through 1.
ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Jiffy Lube, brought to you by Ford. No boundaries.
A picturesque look at the Green Monster, 37 feet high. If you hit it over the screen, it's another 23 feet, so 60 feet in all to get it onto Lansdowne Street. And if you hit it about 100 feet over, feet 100 feet over, as Mark McGuire did during that memorable home run derby that we had here, and among others. Then you have a chance at the Massachusetts Turnpike. But 60 feet will get it over everything. I'll tell you what some of the most fun has been in my years of going to games here, Buck, and you played so many here yourself, is Terrence Long, Ramon Hernandez, Mark Ellis, 8-9-1 against John Burkett. And that one will find its way to right center for a base hit. So Terrence Long, the number 8 hitter, is the first guy to get a base hit off of Burkett. The A's in business. Here's Matt Weiner.
All right, Boomer, it'll be interesting to see if the Fenway Park folks put the score up for the Yankees game, because they're off to a big start against Jeff Suppan. Jorge Posada, 3-run poke. That's number 19 on the season. And the Yanks out to a 4-0 lead now in the bottom of the second.
Well, in the woe is me look, somewhere down there you can already see 4-0 Yankees. You know, Matt wondered, and there it is.
Boy.
But they know, look, you pointed it out, as Ramon Hernandez, who had a 3-run homer last night in Oakland's 9-1 win over Tim Wakefield and the Red Sox. But if they're going to worry about the Yankees on August 7th all the time and check every inning up there, then they're going to lose complete sight of what they're trying to do and just play good ball. And, you know, there's a wild card chase to think about. There's maybe the Yankees stumble, but they can't go nuts at this stage of the year playing scoreboard baseball.
Now, Grady Little said that today. He said, you know what, all we got to do is worry about 9 innings on a given night, and we'll assess where we are at the end of the day in regards to his starters, his bullpen, and the team overall.
I just want to complete the thought about the screen. You know, when you go to a game and there were a lot of balls that ended up there, I remember one distinctly. It was 75, and it was Oakland and the Red Sox. I went to. There were 8 homers, 6 were in the screen. And so in leaving the park, you go out and you walk out there and go, let's see. I think that one's Bando's. That's Rico's. That was Joe Rudy's. I think over here was Fisk's. And then wait a minute, that might have been. I don't remember who Oakland's first baseman was that particular year. But, you know,
Gene Tennis.
But Gene Tennis had one. There were 6 of the 8 homers that night in a 10-9 game. We're up. Yeah, that's a great look. And you'd say, oh, no, wait a minute. No, Tennis's was a little closer to the line.
His
that was Rudy's.
To the
yes,
line.
yes.
For sure.
It's just fun kind of looking up and, wow, that was hit by so-and-so.
Oakland doesn't run very much. They have only 35 attempts all year long, but Burkett is obsessed with keeping runners close, and he always goes to first base, always checking that runner. I think it allows him to regroup from time to time.
There's that slow pitch that Veritek hops on in the dirt, and it dug out nicely by Garcia-Parra. So they get the lead runner, almost an accidental bunt, but it doesn't work that way as long as he raced in Hernandez. The slower runner is on first with a fielder's choice.
Good job by Veritek to come out of the chute and barehand the ball, and he could see the play right in front of him. Take a look at the little tapper right in front of the plate. Hernandez knows it's going to be fair. Look at Veritek take it barehanded, rights himself, regrips on the baseball, and throws it to second. Gets some help from Garcia-Parra, who takes the short hop. But they get the lead runner and keep the double play in order.
Now, Buck, you and I talked about something before the game, and I talk with Burkett. Often in the American League, you don't get a chance to get to the pitchers. But he said tonight, he said, keep an eye on the speed of my curveball. He said, I'm trying to throw some 58, 56 miles an hour. Now, that seemed almost like it wouldn't reach 60 feet 6 inches if you threw it that slow.
Steve Hamilton blooper pitch.
Right. The Ephus ball.
The Ephus ball.
Flared into right field by Mark Ellis. Nixon up with it. Hernandez stops at second. And the A's in business with runners at first and second here with 1 out. But I don't know if he could throw it that slow. He says he could. But that's something for us to keep an eye on if the curveball is just so tantalizingly slow. Obviously, Ellis had that one time perfect.
Great swing on an outside fastball. Hernandez very aggressive into second, but he knew all the while he wasn't going anywhere other than second. So the A's had that lead runner erased on a good play by Veritek.
All right, producer Jay Cutlow says that the curveballs and the slow pitches are timed at 65, 64 miles an hour, which really isn't even the speed limit on a lot of the highways.
See, there's a curveball at 67, and I think that's a pretty good speed for his curveball, and I think any less than that I think you've got too much time to make an adjustment. But he's a guy that is not going to be effective unless he can get strikes with his fastball to both sides of the plate.
Hit by Scott Hatteberg to short center. Damon coming on, makes a sliding catch, runners retreat.
It's a difficult time of the night for defenders as the lights really haven't taken full effect here, and quite a bit of light sky up above the grandstands at Fenway Park, and sometimes you have a difficult time picking out the baseball in this dusk kind of sky. Look at the hesitation on the initial step by Damon. He didn't really see it that well, but he has good enough speed to close ground on it and make the catch. A couple of good plays by Johnny Damon tonight in the field.
Absolutely. Not that Grady wants to give him 2 nights off after every game. And you can see what he does without the errors. And now here's the dangerous Miguel Tejada. Many are saying if Oakland, hey, look, they could still win the division. I mean, I know they have both Anaheim and Seattle to leapfrog, but there are 50-odd games to go, a little less for the A's. He's an MVP candidate. No, there's any debate about it.
No, he certainly is, and he's gotten MVP type of hits recently in these situations. I think the true test of a clutch hitter is what he does with runners in scoring position and 2 outs, and Miguel Tejada is leading the American League with a .400 batting average in these situations. Chance to drive in a run with 2 outs. That's concentration, focus, and determination. You can see him wrinkle his brow as if to say, I got to get this run in.
Calls for time. His first 47 games, he drove in 23 runs. His last 66, 68 runs. A run a game driven in. You could take that. And there's what you talked about, Buck, right there.
For David Eckstein of Anaheim.
However, he went fishing for a pitch that he had been kind of gotten to be more patient on. Went fishing outside, struck him out. Chris Berman, Buck Martinez here at Fenway. Beautiful night, man. You could not have asked any more from the weatherman tonight. A very pleasant New England evening after we've had close to 10 days of 3 H's. Hot, humid, and hooey. I can't go outside. Just beautiful. Temperatures in the 70s today in Boston, and probably down about 60 by the wee hours of the morning. Tejada double clutched a little bit, but still in time to get Ray Sanchez with a gun.
He still had the patience to just stay calm. He didn't have a good grip on it when he came out of the glove. And watch the reaction of the shortstop. Sanchez hits the ball 2 hops to the shortstop. And watch the hesitation. Right there, he had to double clutch regroup, but he still has enough on the throw to get Sanchez. Look at the effort by Sanchez. That was a routine ground ball to the shortstop, but he made it very interesting.
So Johnny Damon, who has sparkled in the field, steps up. And now, Buck, I think we should throw this out there for a few innings. We'll throw it around as Aaron Harang has looked pretty good on the mound. So it got us to thinking. It's really only his 11th start. He makes this play. And Damon is gone, 2 up, 2 down. So, I mean, you think Harang. All right, so obviously it could be Lemon. It could be Lemon Harang, right? That could be Lemon Harang. Now, you gave me one last night, you know, and I know I've worked with you a long time. You should contribute.
But I haven't. No.
So what do you like?
Boom.
Boom Harang. But if he's a pitcher and he gives up a boom Harang, that means
it stays in the park. Comes back.
Okay, boom Harang. Now, that's not, you can't call him Harang a tang. You can't do that. He wouldn't like that, and that's out, all right? So Lemon, boom, or when I started reading his name, I thought of Lurch from the Addams Family. Now, no, I'm dating myself to anybody under 30 years old. But remember, that's not doing it for you, is it?
No, that
maybe
needs some
more
work.
tissue when you speak French, you know. You were an Uncle Fester fan. That was the problem. Right? You were more for Uncle Fester than you were for Lurch. I can tell. Never mind, I'm reaching just because I can, you know, Pugsley, Wednesday, more tissue. Gomez. It's lemon or boom, huh? Cousin it. All right, we'll get back in a few innings. You all think about it at home. Is it lemon harangue or boom harangue? In the meantime, Trot Nixon. Always find it interesting when the Red Sox play the Angels and you have a Nixon and a Kennedy going at it, which we had last week. 3-1 here to Trot Nixon. And Harangue has been very much under control, has he not?
And he's been very efficient with his pitches.
As soon as we say it, he puts Nixon on for the dangerous Nomar.
Art Howe likes what he is seeing in Harangue and his ability to get the strikeout up in the zone, but at the same time he's a little concerned about elevating that fastball. But he's going to have to be very, very careful on this first pitch to Garcia Parra. Remember, Nomar saw him the first time for only his first matchup. There's the first pitch swing.
Chavez with a long throw across the diamond to Hatteberg, so Harangue has harangued the Red Sox batters once again. No score. And we are back. David Justice ran to first base his first time up to lead off the second inning. Now tries leading off the fourth. Justice, Chavez, and Dye. As the A's have 2 hits. Red Sox 1 hit. We've got nothing doing in the run department between Aaron Harangue and this man, John Burkett. I had a feeling Burkett would pitch well tonight.
Now he has already racked up 2 wins against Oakland, back-to-back games in May. And he's got some confidence pitching against this ball club. Dick Peterson, the pitching coach, talking to Aaron Harangue in the dugout, possibly about the separation of his pitches. Fastball to changeup, something off speed.
Well, Burkett gets Justice swinging, and there's 1 out here in the 4th. Burkett, here's the K.
Trying to go down and away. It looked like he cut that fastball a little bit, but it ran upstairs. Justice just got a piece of it, but Veritek hung on for the strikeout.
John Burkett won 2 games against Oakland earlier this year, 1 out west, 6-2, and then back when the teams came here the next week. As a long run for Trot Nixon, and Eric Chavez is gone. Tomorrow night, preseason action in the NFL. We'll start you at 7 o'clock. Tommy Jackson, Sean Salisbury, yours truly from 7 to 8 Eastern, and then we go to Heinz Field as the Pittsburgh Steelers host the New York Jets. That's 8 Eastern with Mike, Joe, and Paul, Susie, and all the gang. They just got back from Japan, and here they are in Pittsburgh. Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore. It's quite a road trip. It's a Sunday morning game in Japan, and now Thursday night in Pittsburgh. It's some frequent flyer miles, and I don't know if the sushi's as good as Pittsburgh is what they had. But the Steelers, we'll see how they look. 2 playoff teams from the AFC last year. Steelers, of course, certainly everybody in this ballpark knows that's the last stop the New England Patriots had at Pittsburgh on their way to an amazing Super Bowl win. Last stop in the AFC.
Jermaine Dye is taking the approach that could prove to be effective against Burkett, making him throw strikes. He's got the count in his favor with 2 outs. Catches the corner. So many of these Oakland hitters are young and they're aggressive, and they have a reputation of being patient, but they get impatient at times.
Inside to Dye, and so he's aboard. Hit the ball well his first time up. Damon made a great catch in the really nice catch in the triangle. So Dye is on with 2 outs, and that'll bring up John Mabry. Back to Burkett. Won 12-6 and 6-2 in back-to-back starts, May 8th and May 14th. That was part of his first 9 starts in which he was 7-0. And all of a sudden, the Red Sox, they've been big bucks in the offseason. Remember, he was an all-star last year with Atlanta. Now, you would look at his mark and say, well, gee, he was 12 and 12, but his ERA of 3.04. I mean, he really, and this is the difference between the beginning and the first 9 and the first 10 starts. It's, you know, a full run different ERA. But they figured, and the way Pedro developed, no one knew what that would be. Actually, you remember, because you were managing Toronto on opening day, that ridiculous, what was it, 12-11 buck, and Pedro, and oh no, and it was doom and gloom, and Derek Lowe, gee, he's a starter. We don't know what he's going to do. Of course, right away, that start he had in Baltimore, and then the game against Tampa here. But it was Burkett that was the one that was the automatic the first month and a half. Hit well by Mabry to right. Nixon up with it. Dye going to third. Here comes the throw. Not in time. Runners at the corners with 2 outs, Oakley.
And a 2-out walk to Jermaine Dye, and then the veteran John Mabry comes through with a 2-out base hit. So a couple of more veteran hitters getting to Burkett a little bit here in the 4th inning. Jermaine Dye running a little better, as you see. He motors around second base. Remember, he's been hampered by that leg that has just not been 100% for him all year. He fractured that leg last year when he fouled the ball off of it. It took a long time to heal. Very difficult fracture.
Well, I would say one thing here, and we talked about it also, why Mabry was in the lineup and why Ray Durham was not, as Terrence Long is up. And Burkett pulls the chain on that one, and Long swings through it. Part of the reason Durham is sitting, and not injuries, and Mabry has had good success against Burkett. Mabry going into the game 5 of 16. So now he's 1 for 2 tonight, and he certainly sat on that one perfectly. So, you know, sometimes I'll ask you, can it be overrated? But other times it stares you right in the face. Hey, I got to play him tonight, or I got to sit him tonight, right?
Well, when you have some doubts as to what your lineup would be, and you got a guy like Durham who might be able to utilize some rest, you look for some kind of matchup. And Mabry has good numbers against Burkett. He toughens up in these situations, of course, with runners in scoring position. There's that curveball that Long wouldn't chase.
What was that speed, as Baratek made a nice block there?
Now you call for the curveball, and the only place it's going to beat you as a catcher is in the dirt, and that's textbook position by the catcher. Down on both shin guards. He's bent over at the waist. He smothers the ball, and it stays right at his feet.
64 miles an hour. Now, other than a knuckleball, you're not going to see that many pitchers that slow, right, Buck? As Long swings through that.
Straight changeup. Very effective pitch for Burkett. But once again, here's a younger hitter that has gotten himself in a hole, a ball and 2 strikes, and Burkett hasn't thrown a strike yet.
A's. A couple on in the 3rd, couple on here in the 4th. Can they bust through against Burkett? Up top.
See that sign by Veritek. He gave the fastball sign, motioned with his hand that he wanted upstairs, and then he extended the glove high in the zone. He had shown Long curveball down, changeup down. He was going to change his eye plane. This time he wants a fastball inside. No, Burkett didn't want it there. He wants to go away.
He did go away, and he paints the corner. Big strikeout for Burkett as the A's strand 2. Scoreless here at the Fens. At Fenway, bottom of the 4th, Manny Ramirez leads off in a scoreless game. Chris Berman, Buck Martinez, glad you could be with us. For Wednesday Night Baseball, we follow this with talking about 2 teams that can play it. They went deep into the night last night. We have Atlanta and Arizona coming up after us. And as Manny goes down the right field line toward Pesky's pole, he's got it. Home run. One of the shortest he'll hit in his career. You will not see Manny Ramirez hit many home runs like that. But he went right down the line, 3-0 onto the pole, That went about 3:05, and the Red Sox have a 1-0 lead.
It reflects the type of hitter that Manny is. He's got great coverage. We talked about the outer 3/4 of the plate. That was belt high, and he knows it's got a chance because it's so close down that right field line, and the fans in the stands immediately celebrate the fact that Manny has put him on the board.
Number 18 for Ramirez, and now here's Cliff Floyd. The Red Sox working with a lead against Aaron Harang. So that's the hairdo of the let's go down the right field line approach. That was really unusual for him.
Well,
Home run for Manny, but as you point out, he's able to hit it any direction.
That's the danger of pitching up in the zone to good hitters. That ball was up out over the plate. Harang has got some strikeouts up there, but now he has given up a home run up there, and he still tries to work Floyd upstairs.
Manny this year, that was his 18th homer, gives him for his career 295. Okay, so you would expect him to get to 300 this season. And now with that RBI, gives him 988. So here's a season in which he could get to both 300 homers and 1,000 RBIs. Two pretty good milestones. Probably going to happen for him. Cliff Floyd looking for his first Fenway hit as a Red Sox.
Now Harang is trying to get the ball down in this at bat to Cliff Floyd. He worked him upstairs early. Then he threw a high changeup, which was a mistake. And that time he was trying to get the ball down and just missed up.
Floyd aboard. Still none out, and Jason Varitek, the catcher, coming up against Aaron Harang. I cannot call that homer a boomerang. I mean, it was kind of a Harang.
It was just inside Pesky's pole.
That was more of a lemon Harang home run. It was just like a little, kind of a dessert home run. Varitek struck out his first time up in the second inning. Floyd diving back, wearing number 12 as the Red Sox.
We haven't seen Harang use his breaking ball much tonight at all. He's got fastball, changeup. He's got a slider that has been an effective pitch for him from time to time. There he missed with the fastball, and Hernandez out in front of the plate with words of encouragement. But this is a time for a visit. You need to go out there and allow him to regroup. Art Howe is concerned about the fact that Harang pitches up in the zone, and here's another leadership aspect. Miguel Tejada coming into Harang, just a little encouragement. Say, hey, let's get the ball down now. We got a chance for two. Varitek doesn't run very well. Just take your time, make a good quality pitch here, and we'll turn two behind you. Location, going with the fastball again.
Floyd, for a big guy, has surprising speed. Harang knows that. The A's know that. Stole 27 bases a few years back with Florida, 24 another season with the Marlins. Of course, you know he moves fast because he's been in 3 different teams this year, right?
Well, when he found out he was coming to the Red Sox, he was having the movers move his furniture into his apartment in Montreal.
Right. He lost out in the exchange rate on the furniture. Deals up there. Yeah, he was just there a few weeks. And boy, he got a hero's welcome when he came back to Montreal, Bob.
Now, he was one of their bright prospects for a long time in Montreal, and they always felt like he was really going to develop. He had a horrible injury suffered at Shea Stadium against the Mets when he was playing first base, and he fractured his left arm. Another fastball that just missed the mark. I wouldn't be surprised to see them start the runner here. 2-2 count. Get the infielders moving around a little bit. Burkett handles the bat well. He puts it in play.
Fouls it back. You know, more on Cliff Floyd because he's been kind of one of the guys that, because of the injury that you described, and one of them was horrible, but he'd been off injured. He kind of never felt. You always were wondering, what could he do a couple of years in a row? And he was a member as a youngster of that '94 Expos team, which, had there been no strike, may have won the World Series for all we know. They were leading the Braves that year. He was a member of the Marlins in '97. I mean, people do forget that. He won the World Series. As Veritek strikes out. Good job by Harang there. Nothing doing with Floyd. And so he stands right there with one out.
Harang finally got an off-speed pitch over. It looks like he goes with the changeup here, and you can see Veritek was out in front. In fact, that may have been a fastball. He got a piece of it. Took an awkward swing at it.
Boston, like Oakland, doesn't run very much. I mean, Floyd has 11 stolen bases. That's not a lot, but it's more than you would think. Do you try to get something going? Looks like the A's are at least paying attention. They're not asleep at the wheel here.
It's very difficult to run in this ballpark because anybody in the lineup can hit one out of the ballpark. You saw Manny go down to the right field line. Grady knows he doesn't have an awful lot of speed. The very inviting left field green monster here at Fenway, and you're reluctant to steal unless you've got a pretty good chance you're going to make it 100% of the time.
Which he goes right now. And it avoids the double play as Tejada now has to go to Hatterberg. Oh, just every now and then, you think, well, that was a run and hit situation, but Floyd now in scoring position.
Well, watch the move at first base. You can see he kind of had a walking lead, got a little momentum going. Tejada took a look at second base, knew that Floyd was there safely, and takes the throw across the diamond to retire Hillenbrand. Not very often do the Red Sox play for a single run in this ballpark.
No, I know that. But now a runner at scoring position. Ramirez is homered to lead off the inning. 1-0 Boston. And here's Brian Daubach, who popped in foul ground to third to Chavez. Hits this the other way. But Mabry makes the catch on the warning track. But the inside-out home run swing by Manny Ramirez says broken the deadlock, and the Red Sox lead it 1-0. Bottom of the fifth here at Fenway, 1-0 Boston. Chris Berman, Buck Martinez with you, and as the A's had 9-1-2 up against John Burkett, that's what the Red Sox have against Aaron Harang. Ray Sanchez, Johnny Damon, Trot Nixon. Whatever ESPN you're going to tune into tonight, that game we talked about, the dual games, is on ESPN2. Baseball tonight follows us 10 to 11, and then midnight to 1. And live cut-ins to see if Barry Bonds can get to 600. I don't mean to go on and on and on, but I mean when you just say Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, and maybe Barry Bonds.
Yeah,
that's
you
a
need
pretty
to go on and
good
on.
list. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Remarkable accomplishment to think about 600 career home runs.
Sanchez draws a leadoff walk here in the fifth, and as we just told you, at 10 o'clock and at midnight. Baseball tonight following us, and all the gang, Ravi and Harold and Peter and the other Buck and Soup and you name it, they love to bring it to you. And tonight maybe a little bit of history. As we shall see. And to think that 600 is still 155 shy of Hank Aaron. Okay. I had a funny talk with Frank Robinson at the All-Star game as he was selected as one of the coaches by Bob Brenly, the manager of the Expos. But I said, Frank, I think you could activate yourself as player manager, hit 14 homers, and get to 600. He said, why? So the guy could pass me twice? I never looked at it that way. I mean, this is the list. I don't care what sport it is that we have in this country. This is the #1 list. And I know as a kid, Buck, I knew them all. Everybody 500 or over. And of course, that was changing when we were young, but you know them all. It's exciting. It's awe-inspiring.
The home run has become such a big part of the game today, and for Barry Bonds to do what he's done the last couple of years is remarkable. Tremendous patience at the plate. Nobody's pitching to him, and he still has the ability to continue to shatter home run marks. And it's amazing what a beautiful swing he has and how patient he is. And you know, everybody's aware of who he is, and they don't really give in to him. And you know, you got to give credit to that lineup too, because when they get on base and there's no place to put Barry, that makes it a little bit easier for them. But everybody's trying to avoid giving him anything good to hit, and he's still able to put up tremendous home run numbers.
Unbelievable. Yeah, he could set the walk record again. He could win the batting title, you know. Could. Doubtful, but could.
We're in a 1-0 ball game, and Johnny Damon has been very important with his glove, tracking down a drive off the bat of Jermaine Dye, and then Scott Hatteberg lifted a little flare into center field, and he closed ground on it, going back into the triangle and coming in, making 2 good plays.
Pops this one up. Long run for Tejada, back in the grass, calls off Mabry, the left fielder, makes the play. Sanchez back to first, 1 out. I mean, those are no. I mean, I'm going back to Barry Bonds, and I'm just thinking what he's doing. I don't care. You can say, well, this, that, the other thing. It's awe-inspiring, is it not? I just think that Willie Mays. I mean, there it is, and Willie will be there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, you know he's there.
Well,
tonight.
the Giants list is Mays, Ott, McCovey, and Bonds, and Barry Bonds to be on that list, and he will probably track down Willie McCovey, you know, next year for sure. But remarkable run for Barry Bonds in a Giants uniform.
And I wonder, and I don't know this, I should know this with where the game is, and I should have called out there and found this out. I wonder if Henry Aaron's in there tonight. I don't know, but I wonder if he is. That'd be class if he and Mays were in the park, wouldn't it? Be hard to get Babe Ruth there.
Well, it's incredible, the milestone of 600 home runs, and to see how many guys we have seen pass that mark. And Willie Mays, of course, and he was my hero in San Francisco.
All of our heroes.
Watching him when I grew up. He moved out there in '58, of course. Henry Aaron, what can you say about what he did? And now Bonds is going to join that elite group of 4.
Meanwhile, Harang is hung right in there. Working the corner against Nixon. Crowd really, I mean, 1-0 game, important game. Sell out again at Fenway. They sell out almost every night. Quiet.
They're not used to 1 run and 5 hits through 4.5.
But the Red Sox are ahead. It's a big game. It's just, I almost feel like I'm whispering up here, Buck. I'm surprised.
It is an unusually quiet night.
It's almost like, okay, we're lining up a 15-foot putt here. I'm surprised.
No, I think they're just a little bit surprised by the way the game has turned out. You know, you expect to see a lot of runs, a lot of offense, and there have only been 5 hits in the game.
Well, there's some pretty good pitching. You know, yeah, it's August, and it's, oh, woe is me again up here in New England. You know, the Patriots used up a lot of good karma juice here early in the year, okay? So
I think the biggest thing that this fan base ought to recognize is that they got a new player in Chris Floyd, and they've got a little bit of new blood in this ballpark and this team, and I think that, you know, they're mounting a surge for the last month and a half of the season. This
will be the 44th sellout in 54 home dates. That's pretty good. I know it's less seats to fill than some, but so what? It's a great sight every time you come here to Fenway Park, and they're always so into the game. They know what they're watching. And what they'd like to watch is Trot Nixon moving Ray Sanchez around the bases here with the count 1-2. One out here in the fifth. 1-0 Boston. Ramirez, his 18th homer, curled around Pesky's pole down right field to lead off the last inning, the fourth inning. That's where we are. That's where it went. Just a pool cue job by Manny. The A's have kind of dipsy and doodle a little bit with their 4 and 5 starter spot. You know, obviously, that Mulder and Zito and Hudson are there. This is when they acquired Ted Lilly from the Yankees, and of course they're going to be really careful with him with his injury, and they hope that they have him in mid-September at some point. So Orang has come up. The game which Hilius pitched earlier, he was in that spot for a while in the rotation. As this is skied again, Mabry and he calls him off, Tejada, but it ends up being a force at second anyway. Well, that's a bizarre one.
Well, the wind has kind of died down. Early on, it was blowing hard from the Green Monster in toward first base, but a high pop-up, and you can see the flag still in center. Take a look at Tejada when he gets camped under this pop-up off the bat of Trot Nixon. Tejada back into shallow center. Pretty good position right there, and then he hears Mabry call him off, but Mabry never really commits to catching it. Goes off his glove, but he alertly picks it up, fires to second base, and they get the force out. But that ball drifted a little further in toward the infield than Mabry expected.
That's the old basketball expression, no harm, no foul, right? I guess.
I was a little surprised that Tejada just didn't continue to wave him off because he was camped under it.
He went farther for the one earlier. On Damon. He was farther out, to be honest with you. 2 out now. Nixon at first and Nomar up. And a very quiet Fenway here on August the 7th.
Take a look at the defensive alignment here. Tejada step in the hole at shortstop. There's a big gap up the middle, but they know that Nomar pulls the ball to that left side of the infield. Trying to stay away with the fastball. Orang has done a good job of keeping this Red Sox team in check, allowing just 2 hits. Unfortunately, the one hit was a home run down the right field line, but he's done it mostly with fastballs. A slider that missed, and he hasn't thrown that very frequently tonight, and he's got himself in a hole 3-1. Art Howe's going to keep a close rein on Orang. He probably won't let him go much over 100 pitches tonight. In Sacramento in AAA, they had him around 90 pitches for most of the season, and Art would like to get him stretched out a little more.
That one will be out of play. You mentioned Sacramento, where he put up in AAA 7 starts, 3-2, 1.77 ERA. No homers allowed. There you go. He's not really a big guy. Maybe he's not stretched out yet. Art actually was surprised at that pitch count when I talked to him. He's a big guy. He figures as he learns. Nomar drills this to the left side. Nixon will stop at second. And so they're 2 on now with 2 out for Manny, who homered last time up. Here's Matt Weiner.
All right, Chris, let's get you updated on the Mariners and the Blue Jays. Seattle coming into Toronto, a game and a half up on the Angels tonight. Chris Woodward upward, onward. That ties the game at 1, but hold on just a second. Edgar Martinez over the wall, his 8th of the season in Seattle. Back up a run. It's now 2-1 north of the border.
I like watching Edgar. He's such an easy swing, doesn't he, Buck?
Well, you talk about key players down the stretch, and we have mentioned David Justice, but Edgar Martinez is going to be very important to that AL West division race. And Manny Ramirez means so much to the Boston Red Sox. This is the difference in the ball game. This one swing of the bat from Manny Ramirez a fastball away from Aaron Harang, and it slices around Pesky's pole. The 18th home run of the year. Celebration, top step of the dugout, and now Manny comes up with 2 aboard.
Well, they really were spelled back to Edgar for a minute. Sierra did a heck of a job out there, didn't he?
Yeah. He did a good job. Now Brett Boone starting to swing the bat a little more. Mike Cameron swinging the bat more effective. John Olerud's been consistent all year long, but they've not had the impact of Edgar's bat in the middle of that lineup for most of the season.
Just such an easy swing. So here's Manning, his 18th homer, which we just showed you. The difference in this game, now with 2 on, 2 out. Harang knows that he could go any direction. Ken Ramirez. This time he tries the left side. But Chavez is there to throw it over to Ellis with the force. Nomar's out there, and nothing doing for the Red Sox. 1-0 through 5.
ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Jiffy Lube. Brought to you by Warner Brothers' new motion picture, Bloodwork. In theaters everywhere, Friday, August 9th.
Thanks. Hey, 1-0 pitchers duel at Fenway Park. It's a short list, I think, of 1-9. We got a long way to go to Buck Martinez. It ends at 1-0, but yet, because you know how games can change in this park in a hurry. But we have, now the wind's died down. There was a pretty decent wind coming in from left center field. Now, of course, we'll ask our director, Doug Holmes, to show it, and the flag is doing nothing. So maybe that works in the favor of Miguel Tejada as he steps up to the plate. See, nothing now. We were talking about, well, let's show it blowing, and naturally we talk about it, and there's nothing there. Tejada, who has not gone hitless in consecutive games since the first week of May. Went hitless last night and is 0 for thus far tonight. Here's Matt Weiner.
All right, Boomer, back down to the Bronx we go. The Royals and the Yankees, who scored 4 in the first off Jeff Suppan. Nothing doing again until the 5th. Derek Jeter, high, deep, and gone. Number 13 on the season. It's now 5-0 Yanks in the top of the 6th.
All right, Matt, thank you. So the Yankees bouncing back in a big way. And Buck, you mentioned such an important start for Roger Clemens as they begin the night with a 4-game lead over the Red Sox. Each went on the road. They each kind of returned, the same lead that they departed and came back with.
Well, they were very patient with Clemens in his rehabbing that leg injury.
This one is down the right field side, but over there is Nixon, and he makes the play. First you thought if it had enough legs, it could be a pesky pole job. Instead, it died out there, and Nixon reached a good 2 rows into the stands and somehow got his glove in the middle of everyone's mitts. Look.
Watch him battle the fans.
Wow.
And thank goodness that guy without a glove is not a good fielder.
Right.
He missed it. The guy in the black shirt just absolutely misses the ball, and Nixon's able to catch it. Great concentration and determination by Trot Nixon. He shows the umpire the baseball. Went in the stands and makes a play on David Justice.
Emulating Troy Brown of the Patriots, making a catch in traffic, Buck. Very good double coverage on that play, but Nixon was the one. This guy, see, I purposely missed back. Well, I don't think so.
It was right over there, and I had a chance to make a play. But you missed it.
The important question to ask out there, did the beer spill? If the answer is no, it was successful, okay?
I called for it, and he came into the seats anyway.
Inside out, and a night. Oh, it's off the glove by Hillenbrand, so Chavez is aboard.
Well, we talked about what a good fielder Shea Hillenbrand was in the opening of the show, and that was an error. And watch his feet. He gets moving backwards right there, takes one step back, and he kind of lets the ball play him off to the side. It goes off the tip of his glove. And you hate to see that on the scoreboard. E5.
That'll bring up Jermaine Dye, who flew out deep to the triangle in center and walked.
Getting back to the theme of important guys down the stretch, here's another guy. 243 on the season. He's been a consistent run producer in the past. The injury has plagued him all year long, but he can salvage the season by getting hot down the stretch.
He's playing hurt, Buck. He broke his leg in the divisional series against the Yankees last year, and we didn't say anything about it. Nobody says much about it, but I'm not making an excuse. But he is playing hurt.
Oh, early in the season, it was painful to watch him run. He was really limping, and it was a pronounced limp, and you just can't hit off of a poor foundation. You can't really anchor and really swing the bat the way you're capable of, and he's suffered through a long season.
Well, this is a long drive, way back, gone. The leg feels a little better now.
Extra outs. Good teams take advantage of it. The ground ball off the bat of Eric Chavez goes off the glove of the third baseman Hillenbrand, brings Jermaine Dye to the plate with 2 outs, and he puts it in the net above the Green Monster. Shea Hillenbrand boots the ball, and here Dye clears the front side out, inside fastball. He turned on it, puts it way over the Green Monster and left.
His 12th home run of the year, so that cleared the 37 feet plus the 23 feet, so 60 feet plus up there, and the A's have the lead. Mabry, the fly ball to Damon in center field, but damage was done. The error opened the floodgates, so 2-1 Oakland.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in this ESPN program.
With none on in the bottom of the 6th and 2 out, Art Howe has elected to yank his starting pitcher Aaron Harang, and Jim Messire is in to pitch to Shea Hillenbrand. Why?
Well, Harang's pitch count had gotten over 100, and the matchup, high fastball pitcher, high fastball hitter in Hillenbrand, and he was convinced to go with a fresh arm. There's that screwball that's so effective from Messire. Plus, now you have the opportunity of taking Harang out on a real positive as you look at Messire's number. Leaves the game allowing just 3 hits and a single run on Manny Ramirez's solo home run. Great screwball. That screwball is an off-speed pitch. It's very effective for Messire. And there you see Harang, who really gave the Athletics a great start here tonight.
Absolutely.
He walked 4, allowed just 3 hits, but did a heck of a job of changing speeds. He used his fastball practically 90% of the time, but every once in a while an effective changeup, and in the 4th and 5th he started mixing in the slider a bit.
Misses inside.
Messire is fresh. He hasn't pitched since Friday when he had an outstanding outing against Detroit in Oakland. 2 innings, allowed just a hit and struck out 4.
Yep, ground ball to second. So Art Howe pulls the right string. Ellis throws it over to Hatteberg. Hillenbrand is gone, and so the Red Sox here in the 6th. 2-1 Oakland. And so now we're back at the top of the 7th inning. John Burkett still on the hill. Man that has authored 10 perfect. And look, it's a bowler's stance. The way he starts, almost as if he's bowling. He's bowled 10 300 games. Right now, though he's pitched close to perfect, the 2-run homer to Jermaine Dye is the reason he and the Red Sox trail 2-1. Terrence Long begins the 7th with a ground out to second.
Now, we talked about the importance of John Burkett for this Red Sox second half of the season, and he has pitched very well tonight, and the bad news for him is the fact that his offense has mustered only 3 hits and a single run against Oakland.
Against Oakland's number 5 starter. There's Ramon Hernandez, fielder's choice, and an infield ground out to second. Steps up. He hit a 3-run homer last night. Since June 1995, the A's have played 12 series here at Fenway. They've lost 10. They've split 2. If they win this game tonight, be their first series win, no matter what happens tomorrow night, since June 95.
Well, and Art Howe made that proactive move of taking Aaron Harang out with 2 outs in the 6th. Went to Jim Sear, and he got an easy ground ball to end the inning. It's easy to sit there as a manager and let the pitcher determine his own fate and then come out after the fact and say, I'm going to make a pitching change.
Right.
But to be proactive, you got to know who you're dealing with. And Art Howe is very convinced if he could get Harang into the 6th inning with the lead, he wouldn't leave him out there to give up that lead. And he brought Nasir in to face a tough hitter in Shea Hillenbrand, and Jim Nasir made quick work of him.
Buck, wouldn't you say, I would, that Art Howe is one of the more underappreciated managers in the big leagues?
Well, I believe so. I think he's done a heck of a job with his Oakland team the last few years.
Well, the fact that they've been in the playoffs speaks for itself. More on that in a moment, but it is that time of night when we get to say that this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Don't miss Inside the Moments for Major League Baseball. Relive history and go behind the scenes of the most memorable moments in the game. This Friday on ESPN. Don't miss it. Get in before the pitch, huh? Buck, I should have let you read that. You know, I haven't worked with you in about 3-4 years.
You're doing good. You're doing just
fine. I should have
fine.
let you just, just occasional disclaimer. Can you read it a couple of times?
I'm an analyst.
You can read. Analyze the card. Was it printed well? Back to Art Howe. I mean, what he has done. I mean, what they did the last couple of years, especially last year, when they went 50-10 down the stretch. There's Alan Embry, the guy we talked about. But the A's, all of a sudden, this young A's team, yes, Jambi is gone. Yes, there have been a couple other changes. But now they have a track record, Buck, of a second half just amazing. Last year, since the All-Star break, 58-17. They actually swept the series right before the All-Star break, so that would make 61-17. 11 over in 2000. They're 15-5 over right now since the All-Star break. It starts not to be an accident. Wow, they had a good second half this year. Is it a way that you can manage? Is it a way? Is it a belief? Is it a 3 times in a row it looks like they're headed that way, Buck?
Yeah, I think it's patience, and he has got a lot of confidence in his players. He got a lot of patience. He explains things to his young players. You remember that he took Miguel Tejada out of a game a couple of years ago to make a point to him. Hey, we play hard for 9 innings, and you can never lose that approach. And they've been blocked by Veritek. But I think Art Howe deserves a lot of credit. He's got a fine young pitching staff, but you also have to remember that you have to build confidence of young pitchers by putting them in situations in which they can succeed. And now he has a closer in Billy Koch that's very, very effective, and he knows that if he can get down to that 9th inning and put Billy Koch into a situation where he can close it out, it's going to build a lot of confidence for the entire pitching staff.
This year, Hudson, Mulder, Zito, they're all established, okay? But I go back a couple of years ago, and I'm not just going to read numbers, but every year, before and after the All-Star break, okay, Buck? In 2000, the ERA difference was about a half a run the second half. Last year, almost a full run the second half. This year, it's about 0.6. So maybe it's how you work them in those situations you described in May that helps pay off in August and September, correct? And Ellis looks at that one at Burkett, and he will sit. Matt Weiner in the studio.
All right, Boomer, baseball's flying out of Skydome tonight. Mariners and the Blue Jays 2-1 game in the 7th, but Dwayne Wise changes that. 3rd of the season, and it's a 3-1 game just like that. Next up, Chris Woodward. Already gone deep once, make it twice consecutive cranks for the Jays. Now a 3-2 game in the 7th.
Chris Woodward's done a heck of a job since he has taken over the everyday job at shortstop for the Blue Jays. 10 home runs.
Strange watching the highlights.
No. Got some good young players. They're doing.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
You like very much. It seemed like it's another season.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I mean, it's not last year you were managing. You were managing the Jays 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Is it? It's not. Does it seem like another year?
Yeah, it's you know, seems like it's quite a while ago, and some things have changed for me, obviously, but it's good to be back. It's good to be at the ballpark and having a chance to talk with both managers and some of the players tonight. It's a good feeling.
I love that the managers, now that you're around the park as an announcer, like Joe Torre in particular with Raul Mondesi, that they're pegging you. You know, where our job as an announcer, okay, what's the information here? Wait a minute, can I talk to you for a minute, Buck? I mean, find that intriguing?
Yeah, it's interesting, and you know, it's a different relationship I have now with managers. Of course, we have exchanged strategies from opposite dugouts for a year and a half, and it's been a good feeling.
Damon again being asked to motor, and he slides, but he's not going to come up with that one, as Hatterberg bloops one in front of him, and now Hernandez the third, so they're runners at the corners. Are there, do you have, and look, we're going to show this again.
Now this is the second time that Hatterberg has been out in front of a pitch and lifted a fly ball to center field. Back in the second inning, Johnny Damon made a good catch on it. This time he slides and he comes up short, so it's first and third now for Oakland with 2 outs.
Just back to the brethren of managers. Look, Buck, you were behind the plate. You called pitches for 2 decades. You've been around baseball all your life. You've coached. Very close as announcer for a team, 4th round and only with us, ESPN. Do you look at managers differently? Just the job?
No question about it.
The individuals? You have to, right?
I have a totally different appreciation for the Tony La Russes and Bobby Coxes and Joe Torres and all of those guys that have had long and successful careers. And now I understand what it takes. You have to have patience, good players, and a tremendous amount of dedication. Grady Little worked a long time in the minor leagues to earn this opportunity, and he's made the most of it.
I will allow you to go, by the way, if you'd like to manage another part. But not so fast. You stick with us for a while, will you, please?
Okay. Good outing for Burkett. He's on the short end of a 2-1 ball game, but he has scattered 5 hits over 6 2/3.
This is a big at bat right here with the best hitter of the A's lineup, Tejada, who he's handled tonight.
There's that big curveball that Burkett drops on the outside corner and got Tejada to chase.
He had to be pulling my leg with 58 miles an hour. He had to be. He pulled the string on that one on the outside corner, and now the count is 2-2 with 2 down.
Curveball to the outside, then he comes back with a fastball that sinks back toward the outside corner. Tejada's not so sure it caught the corner, but Burkett will take it. Now Tejada's really got a battle. We talked about hitting with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. Second time Tejada's had a chance to drive in a run tonight. Looks like they're going with the curveball. Fastball away.
And he delivers that time as the drawback was in. It goes past him. Here's Nixon's throw, cut off. A 3rd run is home, and so it's a 3-1 Oakland lead. Tejada doing, well, you called it. There's a different sort of approach, especially with the 2 strikes and the 2 outs, and Grady Little has made the move. So Burkett pitched very well tonight. But Dye's home run and Tejada's base hit here have him on the short end of a 3-1 stick.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in this ESPN program.
ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Jiffy Lube. Jiffy Lube, the well-oiled machine. And in part by Smooth Bush Beer and Easy Drinking Bush Light. And Verizon Wireless. We never stop working for you.
Chris Berman, Buck Martinez with you in the bottom of the 7th at Fenway. The fans have stood for the 7th inning stretch. And now Boston sends Brian Daw back to the plate to lead it off against the reliever Jim Messier. As it's 3-1 Oakland. And the game pitched well, but not well enough by John Burkett. And a game pitched very well by Harang. Aaron Harang, who with his last 5 outings, he's only pitched 11. The 5 previous to this, dating all the way back to June, he has no decision either way. So if the score remains the same, he would be 4-2. If the score remains the same, John Burkett, who pitched very well, would fall to 10-5. But then we're getting ahead of ourselves. Dahlback, Sanchez, Damon. Against Messier. Eventually, as Buck mentioned, and certainly someone you know, Billy Koch. And we'll see him shortly. Backing up because he had the time with Dahlback as Mark Ellis made sure he took it on a charity hop. There's one out. Again, preseason football tomorrow night. NFL tonight. Join yours truly and Tommy and Sean Salisbury 7 to 8. Then the Jets made the playoffs last year under then first-year coach Herman Edwards. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, who had the AFC Championship game at home only to fall to the Patriots. Jets and Steelers, the game at 8 tomorrow night from Heinz Field. And we'll see all the slashes. Cordell Stewart, Hines Ward, and L. Randall L., the second-round draft pick. They have every slash in the book is now a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we'll get a look at Antoine Randall L. and the rest of the Steelers tomorrow night against the Jets. Hope you can join us for that. I'm just struck by how even a 1-0 lead and how quiet it's been in here, Buck. And you know, the Red Sox got up to such a good start. And they really were in first place for just about every day till about the last few days of June. And it was the euphoria, the fans up here, which I'm certainly aware, living the 100-mile radius that we do in Connecticut from here. You know, the Patriots with their amazing Super Bowl. The Celtics had a nice year. Here come the Red Sox. This is going to be the year. And then it gets to the dog days of August. And the Yankees have that 4-game lead, which by no means is, you can't catch them. But the fans, yeah, and there's the, you know, you keep having to show it. But Babe Ruth was a Red Sox, their last World Series, and they just, it's almost as if they expect things not to go well down the stretch. I don't mean the players. I don't mean Grady Little. I mean the fans. The Cub fans come hoping to win. Red Sox fans come expecting to lose.
Well, I think they've been spoiled this year by the success of Derek Lowe and Pedro Martinez. They're almost automatic when they go to the mound, and it's as if they say, well, you know, they're not pitching tonight, so chances are we're not going to win. I don't think that's fair. I think the Red Sox have some guys that are very capable of winning. And right now they're going through a tough stretch. They just finished up an 8-game road trip that they were 4-4 on, and it's been a tough stretch for them.
Well, look, 99, of course, that was the year that they came back miraculously against Cleveland and played the Yankees toe-to-toe. But in 2000, they never really were in it. I mean, they had a respectable year. In 2001, of course, right around this time, probably about one more week, that was when Jimmy Williams was fired. Joe Kerrigan replaced him. The bottom fell out. Jimmy was fired there, what, 4 or 5 out or whatever, and they ended up about 80 out. It was just a bad scene. Everything changed. Grady Little's done a wonderful job. New ownership. New lots of things. New Pedro. You mentioned Pedro and Lowe. Nomar back. Veritek back. But yet, in the end, they're left to scratch. Now, wild card is a possibility. The Yankees are still a possibility. But this is about when it happened last year for the Red Sox. 18 of the next 21 games. Now, you'll start with last night. The next 7 series, 21 games, the first of which was lost last night. They're playing the heavy metal. 3 against Oakland, 3 against Minnesota, the runaway leaders in the Central, 3 at Seattle, 3 at Minnesota, then 3 Texas, but 4 against Anaheim, 2 against the Yankees. That goes to the end of the month. If they can keep their head above water in that, Buck, they play the Sisters of the Poor in the AL East in September, while Oakland and Seattle and Anaheim are playing each other. But if this stretch of 21 games is a bummer, they may dig themselves a pretty big hole. Very key stretch.
And it's up to the players. I mean, they're the ones that know we're not going to get a whole lot of help. We got Bobby Howry, we got Cliff Floyd right before the trade deadline, but this is the team we're going to have the rest of the way.
Damon to the gap, and it's going to get past Terrence Long. And Damon can fly. He's going to go for 3. Tejada with the relay, not in time. And that'll juice up the crowd.
Well, he got them to their fate finally. It took a Johnny Damon triple, his 8th of the season, to do that. But Terrence Long took a bad route for that ball. Looked like it was going to be a single. Take it on a hop, get it back to the infield, 2 outs, but watch how he goes straight across. Didn't have a very good angle of pursuit at all. When he reaches for it, it's beyond his outstretched glove. Mabry comes over to help him out, and look at Johnny Damon. He can assess the situation as he rounds first base, sees the ball go all the way to the wall, and turns on the jets and motors into third base with a triple.
Well, there's now, Buck, something that will not show up as an error, but as a fielding lapse that won't show in the stats, but can drastically affect the game. As Art Howe to the mound to talk to Messier, as is the trainer.
Yeah, he went to the umpire, and there's a medical concern here with Jim Messier, and Larry Davis, the trainer, is out there to talk. And Art Howe is shaking his head as if to say, you have to tell me if you are injured now. Chad Bradford and Ricardo Rincon up in a hurry. But this is when a manager has to be very frank with his pitcher. Say, hey, I don't want you out here if you're hurt. You have to be honest with me. Let me know what's going on. He has not pitched, and he's made the call. He went right to the bullpen and called Ricardo Rincon in here.
And we may have a bit of a delay because Rincon really is not warmed up, right? And on injury, he would have as much time as he needs. Wheels turning, the fence is opening at the fence.
Matt Weiner back in our SportsCenter in-game studio. Roger Clemens making his first start since July 13th, coming off the disabled list, and gets Joe Random, Michael Tucker, Luis Alicea, 3 of his 8 strikeout victims, allowed just 2 earned runs in 7 innings pitched. He's in line to become the first 40-year-old to win for the Yanks since Tommy John in '89.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. So 3-1 here, and because Jim Messier was hurt, could have been backing up the play at third, Buck. It could have been anything. The triple by Johnny Damon, who now, by the way, leads the majors in triples with 8. So Ricardo Rincon, lefty acquired from Cleveland, gets as much warm-ups as he needs. Now, he's frankly been, great things were expected of him. He traded what Brian Giles to Cleveland did to get him years ago, a few years ago, Buck,
with Pittsburgh. But see the 37 strikeouts in 38 innings. That's what you want from a left-handed specialist. The ability to come in a game in a situation like this, 2 outs, a man at third base, and a tough hitter at the plate in Trot Nixon. You want the strikeout. Here's Grady Anderson coming out to ask the umpire why Rincon has the ability to warm up. He says, hey, it was an injury. I was assured by Art Howe and the trainer Larry Davis that it was an injury, and that's why I'm allowing him proper time to get loose.
And I don't think there was anything feigned there, do you?
No.
Pitch inside to Nixon for ball 1. Nixon represents the tying run. Damon at third. 2 out, bottom 7 in a 3-1 game for Oakland. Manny Ramirez in the hole, if you will, with Nomar on deck. Nixon is the one right here. And it's 2-0.
Rincon has 1 assignment. 7th inning, 2 outs, man at third base. He's got to get Trot Nixon. It's the only man he's going to face in this situation. Chad Bradford is up, down in the bullpen. Trot Nixon has been red hot since the All-Star break, and it's lefty against lefty. Nixon represents the tying run. There's Bradford. He should be ready by now.
Just gets the corner, says Greg Gibson.
There are a lot of left-handers that pitch in the major leagues in these situations, but not many of them have the ability to get a strikeout here. A lot of the left-handed hitters have evolved into a situation where they handle the ball away. Rincon has enough of a slider that has depth to it where he gets strikeouts.
Evens the count at 2-2.
So many of the left-handers down in bullpens in the major leagues nowadays have developed change-ups and sinking fastballs, and they're more effective against right-handed hitters than they are left-handed hitters. So that's why these left-handers, Rincon, coming on to pitch to tough left-handed hitters like Trot Nixon, are so valuable. Slider down and away. Got away with it.
Gets him. So Rincon does the job. Nixon strands Damon. 3-1 Oakland through 7. Wednesday Night Baseball brought to you by Jiffy Lube here at Fenway Park. Between two teams hopeful to get in the postseason. They both might. And really, you're 6 teams looking for 4 spots. And the Oakland A's won 9-1 last night. They lead 3-1 here. And as it happened in the 7th, Buck, relievers by the A's getting the key 3rd out.
Now Ricardo Rincon comes in and he hangs a breaking ball to Trot Nixon, but he gets away with it for the strikeout to strand another Red Sox base runner.
Jim Messier came in the 6th and got the, with, of course, there were nobody on, but got the 3rd out right away. Rincon got the 3rd out in the 7th inning. That's relief.
These two teams have played 16 innings in this series so far. The Red Sox have stranded 19 base runners.
Talked about symmetry as Chavez is up against the lefty Alan Embry, 2-0. Last year, right around this time, a week later, the Oakland A's, as they do now, they play 3 here at Boston and then they play 3 in New York. Last year in August, the games were in Oakland, but they played 3 against Boston and 3 against New York. The A's swept those 6 games. It, more than anything else, catapulted to them to that tremendous second half run. There are many that think that after this week, as we talked about Boston's 21-game span here, Buck, after this week, 3 in Boston, 3 in New York, the A's will know exactly where they stand. And when that's done, they'll have 44 games left. And the next group of games for them after this road trip will be against some of the, quote, easier teams, the below 500 teams, before they get stuck with Anaheim and Seattle in September. Well, so whereas Boston's got to be careful, if the A's survive this week, they can make a real move in the race.
And they also have the luxury of having those 3 good starting pitchers. There you see the American League East. Red Sox trail by 4. The West, the Athletics are back 4 of the front runners. But the thing to remember about Art Howe, and we've talked about the significance of his patience and his even manner and how he has been able to bring this team along each year and have good second halves, is they are doing this without Jason Giambi. And Miguel Tejada has now stepped up, hitting in the 3rd spot, coming up with key hits like he did tonight to give them those extra runs.
Chavez K's, and you spoke about it at the time. Give a good team an extra out, as Hillenbrand could not come up with this grounder by Chavez, which would have been the 3rd out in a 1-2-3 inning. And then Jermaine Dye, trust me, he clobbered it, and there it goes. Hit the extra out home run, and it was a 1-0 Red Sox lead that turned into a 2-1 game, and that's where we stand at 3-1. That changed the entire game. An error by Hillenbrand.
The Yankees do it. They take advantage of your mistakes. Minnesota does it. Seattle does it. And the Athletics are turning into a team that will capitalize on your mistakes.
And so here is Jermaine Dye, who slugged one to the triangle that Damon tracked down in his first at-bat, walked, and hit the long home run. You mentioned his name as somebody that really can make the A's a different sort of ball club if he catches fire in these last 49 games. And he certainly has put the fire into the A's tonight. And again, he hits well to center field. So a big game at the plate for Jermaine Dye. So 1 on, Dye is aboard with John Mabry coming up, and no, there's going to be a pinch hitter, because with the lefty Embry pitching, the A's will go with, that's Eric Burns, outfielder.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
And he will stay in left field, we presume, for Mabry.
Well, it also gives them a little better defense. Burns is an outstanding defender, good speed, and he matches up right-hander against the left-hander. Mabry, his night is done. The Red Sox continue to get arms loose in the bullpen. That's Bob Howry, who was just acquired from the White Sox.
There's a strike in there to the pinch hitter, Burns. Just to complete the point, after this week, Buck, that we talked about for the A's, they play Toronto, the White Sox, Cleveland, Detroit, Kansas City. On paper, an area to move. And one last schedule note, and then we'll get back to this. 14 games left for the A's in September against the Angels and Mariners. 8 against the Angels, 4-4. 6 against the Mariners, 3-3.
You can determine your own fate in that AL West.
Embry made him look foolish there. So the left-right percentage was no percentage at all for Burns. That was a pretty short shrift at bat.
Good slider down and in, and Burns swings over the top of it.
The center fielder, Terrence Long.
So 2 strikeouts in this inning, sandwiched by around a single by Dye. And here's Terrence Long. I talked with Embry before the game for a while, and he feels his mechanics are the best they have been in a long time. And part of the reason, and you will chuckle because we both know and love this fellow who worked with him in the offseason, Randall K. Myers, left-hander who certainly, well, from the same part of the country, from Vancouver, Washington, right over the border there from Portland. And in Myers' case, you know, they look out their window and see Mount St. Helens, or what was. And I thought that was always a good town for Randy to be from, right near Mount St. Helens, an exploded volcano, right? Embry said he saw it explode out of his window. I mean, he could see the whole thing happen. At any rate, so believe it or not, with the leg drive, and you know, Randall was a very physical pitcher with his leg drive. He says he's improved the way Embry approaches the plate. He pitched well against, for San Diego. He feels it's his best that he's been in 3 or 4 years.
He came up with the Indians as a highly touted prospect. He and Dave Malicki came up at the same time, and Embry had a blazing fastball, but never really blossomed into the starter everybody expected he might.
He went to San Francisco, did well at first, and the Giants were so patient because he lost it, and they didn't want to give up on him. It went, and finally it just was. It's never going to work here. But Dusty really never wanted to give in on it because he knew what Embry had the first year he was there, and he has a live arm. Red Sox may have found themselves a pretty important pitcher, but they need the lead for him to be really important.
Just went off the glove of Veritek. No one got a piece of that high fastball.
How about working my tutor is Randy Myers? How about that, Buck?
Here's the swing, just off the glove. Never really had it in the pocket, and didn't have a chance to hang on to that one.
Over 2 again, the long way outside, doesn't chase it. We should remind folks that Embry came in with the 2 on the last inning and got David Justice to ground to second base to keep it at a 3-1 game. So this would be a pretty impressive inning in a third if he's to get Long here. Now 2-2 to Terrence. Catcher Hernandez on deck. Looking ahead to Boston's 8th, it'll be their heavy metal. Garciaparra, Ramirez, and Floyd.
And it'll be the right-hander Bradford who they'll be facing.
He's looking ahead to Boston's 8th. Well, 0-2 has become 3-2.
Long's done a good job of laying off those close pitches. He has had to deal with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball and a wicked slider.
Guy moving on the full count. We'll do it again. Harang pitched a good game tonight. So did Burkett. They take the number 5 starter Harang and the way he pitched in here and the play at the plate, the batting of Jermaine Dye, and those would be your headlines thus far for Oakland. Certainly have a way to go here. Dye on the move again. Will do it again.
Long's hanging tough. That was a good fastball down and away. Got a piece of.
He's another guy that could make a move in the last 6 weeks of the season, Terrence Long.
You know what? They're able to drop him down in the order now a little bit and not really ask an awful lot of him, just to relax and have good at-bats hitting down in the order.
Embry comes back to strike him out. So 3 strikeouts here in the 8th inning for Alan Embry, and the big hitters for the Red Sox coming up. It's home plate umpire Terry Cooney. The A's, who were coming off their World Series win, beat the Red Sox in 4 straight before they went on to the World Series and then were upended by the Cincinnati Reds. So always a sweep. We remember all of them. We sat at a lot of the games. Two teams that kind of you follow all the way through several different generations of club. Eric Burns stays in left field, as we told you, batting in Mabry's spot. And the side armor / submariner Chad Bradford will work the 8th, setting it up for Billy Koch. Buck.
Look at these 2 numbers. 8 walks and 44 strikeouts. Bradford has outstanding control in a very deceptive delivery.
Garciaparra, Ramirez, Floyd. Fans are wondering, will this be the time that the Red Sox, who have 2 runs in his first 2 games of his 6-game homestand against the A's and Twins, will they get going?
Take a look at this delivery. Submariner, and he is tough to pick up. His knuckles almost scrape the dirt of the mound as he delivers his pitch. Not overpowering, not a hard thrower, but the delivery and the movement, plus his outstanding command, make Chad Bradford very effective.
Nomar 1 for 2 tonight with a walk. Full rip. He fouls that one back. Listen, if he was a starter, you'd pick it up after your 2nd or 3rd at bat. When you have 1 crack at this, maybe they might see him only once this series, and maybe saw him maybe 3 at bats a year against this. Pretty tough, isn't it, Buck?
Tough to switch gears from the 6'7" starter, Aaron Harang, to a submariner. About 8 feet difference in release point.
Oh, and he went, says Mike Winters at first base. Garciaparra with a long stare down there, does not agree. There's a little jawing out of the Red Sox dugout. Let's look.
Take a look at the bat. He went a long way, and it's a tough call. And believe it or not, that black bat has a lot to do with it. It's tough for umpires to really follow it. A black bat some 110 feet away down the first base line. He has to call whether or not Garciaparra committed on the swing, and this time Mike Winters said he went too far.
Gibson, the umpire behind the plate. Greg Gibson, Jerry Davis at 2nd, and Iasonia is at 3rd. So now Manny Ramirez swings through that one. Ramirez's homer is 18th of the year around Pesky's pole in the 4th, the lone Red Sox run.
Well, always important to get that leadoff batter in any inning, but especially at this part of the ball game. 3, 4, and 5 hitters in the Red Sox lineup. Get that first guy out. It's a big hurdle to get over. There's the breaking ball, catches the outside corner. He's had success against Bradford. Once again, remember how Manny handled the ball away, did not handle it inside. He struck out against Harang on an inside fastball. He grounded to 3rd on an inside fastball, but in between he went deep on a fastball away.
Rips this one to left. That'll rattle around off the wall. Burns in there, and he bobbles it, but still Ramirez holds up. Burns to it quickly. Ramirez had a thought, but he's on first. Here's Matt Weiner.
All right, Boomer, a game that the A's and other teams have interest in. The Angels at Comiskey. This is with the Mariners leading at Toronto. Darren Erstad, that's a double, brings in Orlando Palmeiro and ties the game at 2. So bases loaded for Garrett Anderson. He delivers With the double there, Tim Salmon is down, but Angels up 4-2 in the fifth.
All right, Matt, thank you. Well, there are the standings. The A's, Angels, Red Sox. They're all thinking division. They're all thinking wild card. But right now, Art Howe is out to the mound to talk to Bradford and how he's going to work to the left-hander, Cliff Floyd. He's already used his lefty, Rincon, but here's another move. Do we go to the big guy? Yes, we do. Well, it'll be his to finish. Billy Koch, guess what? You get the ball with 1 out in the 8th. See if you can close it out, big guy. Red Sox in little business here in the bottom of the 8th, trailing 3-1, but a runner at first is Ramirez. Cliff Floyd coming up. And the A's. Well, we want numbers like this, and the guy that's on the mound, Billy Koch, Buck Martinez, is a big reason for it.
Well, he can really slam the door on any rally late in the ball game. You see, this will be his 57th appearance of the season. 27 saves, a respectable 3.38 ERA, and 65 strikeouts and 61 in the 3rd inning.
He played for you. You know exactly what he can do.
Great arm. Big heart.
Cliff Floyd up. Another chance for him to make a mark here at Fenway. He has not gotten a hit in the 2 games as a Red Sox here at Fenway yet. He's only had 1 at bat against him, so there really is no 0 for 1. There really is no track record. Righty flamethrower, lefty power hitter. 3-1 Oakland lead. You know, I'm only thinking for a second, Buck, that we saw some of the video of the past matchups with the A's and the Red Sox. This is an old-fashioned, okay, 1 out in the 8th, give me fingers, right?
Yeah, and Koch has that kind of makeup. Whatever you need, give me the ball. I'll try to get us in the dugout. That last pitch was a cut fastball at 91 miles an hour in on the hands of Floyd. Billy Koch was a starter throughout his collegiate career. Early in his professional career, he was converted to a reliever by Jim Fregosi and proved to be very effective in that role. He had 100 career saves in Toronto before he was dealt to Oakland. A lot of success here at Fenway Park.
1-2 to Floyd. Struck him out.
Great location on a fastball. It goes down into the knee. Look at the target by the catcher Hernandez, and Koch delivers. There was a point when Billy Koch was reluctant to pitch inside. He just tried to run the ball away all the time, and I think now that he's coming inside more frequently, it makes him that much more effective. The cut fastball also enhances his ability to run the ball in on left-handed hitters.
Not often, Buck, will you say, boy, thank goodness Harang is out of the game. Let me try to hit against Billy Koch. But after 3 strikeouts against Harang, here is Veritek to try his luck against another. Ball away from Hernandez. Ramirez not. Look, Floyd didn't get his bat on the ball, so it's a moot point thus far. And now with 2 outs, it becomes more of a moot point. Manny had a chance to go to second base there, and Burns bobbled the ball out there.
Yeah, he did. Burns got the warning track, played it off the wall, bobbled it a couple of times, and Manny just very matter-of-factly rounded the bag and went back to first, but he could have got himself into scoring position. Assumptions. They'll always get you in trouble.
Up and outside to Veritek, 2-0.
You assume that the outfielder is going to make a clean play on it and just concede a single. It's the 8th inning. Score a run in the 8th, a couple in the 9th. Thank you very much. Here comes the infield leader from his shortstop position, Miguel Tejada. A little encouragement for Koch. You all right? Let's go, man. We got confidence in you. Okay. Close this thing out now. Ricky Henderson popping out of the dugout.
Hey, Ricky. Ricky played last night. Ricky Henderson scored a few runs in his day, like more than any other player in the history of the majors. If he scores one here, we'll have a tie game.
Billy Koch has always had the tendency to put himself in these tough situations by a walk or a base hit, but he never shies away from this matchup. Got a tough hitter at the plate in Hillenbrand now with 2 outs. Oh, what a grab by Hernandez. I think that ball caught him. Ball was in the dirt, and he didn't have time to get down and block it. Watch the glove. He just goes with the backhand, turns his head away from it, and somehow it ends up in his webbing. Well, Billy Koch now gets a visit from the pitching coach, Peterson. Just another reminder. Okay, let's assess where we are here now. You don't have to throw it 103. 93 in a good spot will be effective. And Billy wants to do so much for his team. He really gets fired up in these situations, and he's a guy, reminds me an awful lot of Eckersley in his ability to stand up and face the music after something doesn't go right for him. He'll never hide. He'll never shy away from the media. He says, hey, I messed it up, and I really feel bad that I let my team down. But he's got the makeup to be a big-time closer, and he's had a lot of success early in his career.
He's not unlike many others, though. Comes in such a high wire, immediately puts a guy or two on, right? Some of the best in the game did it. Hillenbrand, oh, that ball hops over Chavez. Now Burns boots another one in left. Throw into third, not in time to get Henderson, and we got ourselves a ball game. 3-2, and the fans are on their feet.
A 2-out walk. Remember, it was Hillenbrand's error that allowed Jermaine Dye to come up in the 6th inning and hit a 2-run home run to give Oakland the lead. And here he comes through with a base hit for Eric Chavez, one of the best fielding third basemen, a Gold Glover. Takes a couple of steps back, and watch the wicked hop. He gets right there and hops over his glove. He was trying to put some leather on it. Manny Ramirez comes around third. Burns bobbles the ball again in left field.
What is he doing out there, Buck? He looks like he's playing with frying pans.
Boy, he has had a couple of tough plays out there. They have not been tough plays. He's turned them into tough plays, and he allowed Ricky Henderson to move over to third base. He's charged with an error, allowing Henderson to go to third. Now, situation gets dicey for Oakland.
Ryan Daw back up. The lefty against the righty Koch. When Oakland was in here earlier this year, the A's were doing this sort of stuff in the field. Plays that might have been made, not necessarily errors. Well, that'll end it. That'll end that rally. Dahlbeck swinging at the first pitch, grounds it right to Hatteberg, but the Red Sox get a run. We have a one-run game going to the ninth. Top of the ninth, a one-run game now. The Red Sox pick up one in their half of the eighth to make it 3-2 here. And so now we bite a nail or two. And a little histrionics in the outfield, Buck.
Here, Hillenbrand hits the ball past Eric Chavez. Eric Burns came on as a pinch hitter for John Mayberry, and he's a pretty good defender. But here he bobbles the ball. He had had an earlier bobble on a Manny Ramirez base hit, but that allowed Ricky Henderson to move to third. That's Mike Quade, the first base coach for the Athletics, talking to Burns. Hey, relax now. We're okay. We still got the lead. Compose yourself, regroup, take a deep breath, and go back out there. 3 more outs, and we go home happy. Quade managed in the minor leagues and had an opportunity to work with these young players, so he knows what it takes to get him to relax. Doug Mirabelli comes on. Remember, Ricky Henderson pinch ran for Jason Veritek after Koch walked him with 2 outs. And now Bob Howery, the newly acquired right-handed reliever, comes in to work the top of the ninth, trying to hold the Athletics to within a run.
Ramon Hernandez, the catcher, leads it off, followed by Ellis and Hatteberg at the top of the order. Howery 6'5", 220. And throw hard for the White Sox, a member of the team that's been dismantled in a hurry. Ray Durham, and Durham on the A's hadn't seen him tonight. And there's a flare by Hernandez. It's a base hit. Over a leaping Sanchez. And so catcher walked and scored in the 7th inning. But now proves to be the winning run if it stays this way.
The second baseman.
And now is aboard. So the A's figure, hey, this 1-run lead. Let's see if we can do a little more for Koch.
Well, they know how quickly a lead can evaporate here in Fenway Park. Ellis handles the bat very effectively. Hillenbrand in on the grass at third. Looking for a bunt.
Further away is Ellis. Certainly everybody looking in.
This is a tough challenge for Ellis right here to put down a sacrifice bunt for Art Howe, because Hernandez, the catcher at first base, does not run well, and with Hillenbrand crashing at third, he'll be hard pressed to advance Hernandez. It'll take a good bunt. Swinging away.
Or a shot down the line will get it done.
Now that's the thing Howe has. Once you show bunt on the first pitch, the pitcher expects you to be bunting in a situation, and you might get a cookie fastball. That's what Art Howe was banking on right there. So now I'm sure he'll have Ellis swing away.
I started to say, Howery, one of Sandy Alomar, Ray Durham, who's here with the A's. It didn't take long for them to start subtracting at the White Sox, did it?
Well, the Twins made it easier for them to subtract because they have had such a phenomenal year and widened the gap dramatically after the All-Star break.
Here's a base hit with 2 strikes for Ellis. And so all of a sudden, the 9-1 spots for the A's, a little damage. Ellis' second base hit of the night, 2 for 5. That'll bring up Scott Hatteberg, who's 1 for 4. Howery not quite throwing as hard as we remember him when he was a big part of that White Sox bullpen that won the division a couple of years ago and lost to Seattle in 3 straight in the playoffs, Buck.
Well, he is coming back from an injury and trying to develop some velocity. Here you see Randy Velarde jogging out to second base now with Hernandez in scoring position. Art Howe wants a little more speed, trying to add an insurance run here. So he will call upon Randy Velarde, the veteran utility player, to come on in and pinch run.
Now running for Hernandez.
Looking at the lineup card, checking out his options.
And now batting, number 10, the first baseman.
Myers
Scott
will catch them in the 9th. And we welcome those of you that have watched the Yankees beat the Kansas City Royals 6-2. Chris Berman, Buck Martinez here in Boston. A 3-2 Oakland lead in the top of the 9th. The A's have their first 2 men on against reliever Bobby Howery here in the 9th. And Scott Hatteberg is up. 3-1 game that Boston scored a run in the bottom of the 8th off Billy Koch, summoned with 1 out of the 8th. Got to keep things at bay. We have a 1-runner. But Oakland looking to get back that 2 or maybe even 3-run lead. The Yankees win. They stand as we speak 4.5 over the Red Sox in the AL East. Big start for Clemens tonight down there at the stadium. Ripped. A foul. Quaddy doing some consoling, then doing some dancing here.
That's interesting in this situation with Hatteberg at the plate, and some people might be scratching their heads saying, well, why didn't Art Howe have him bunt in this situation? Well, even if he has a successful bunt and first base is open, he can put Tejada on, and Art would just as soon have Tejada hit in this situation, especially in this ballpark.
Tejada's 2-out base hit in the 7th, scoring the catcher Hernandez, made it a 3-1 game. After Jermaine Dye's 2-run homer gave the A's the lead. Manny Ramirez sold a homer earlier in the game, had Boston out 1-0 behind John Burkett. So If you watch that Yankee Royals game, you're caught up. A very quiet Fenway tonight, almost as if impending doom. Just quieter than usual. It's sell out, 33,000 plus. Just really understated evening here in New England. Staying alive is Hatteberg there.
Broke out the emergency hack. Just flick the bat at that ball down and away, trying to keep the at-bat alive.
The emergency hack. That's a good one.
I've used it a lot.
On the air or in the dugout?
In the batter's box. Okay. Moving fastball, and you can see he just spoils that good pitch by Howie.
To left field, Cliff Floyd there. Runners return, 1 out. Pretty big job. When you go back to Aaron Harang pitching against John Burkett, you know, the number 5 starter here for Oakland on a big road trip with 3 games here in Boston, Buck, and 3 games in New York. They won last night. This Oakland. You're getting that sort of outing to give yourself a chance to win a game here at Fenway. Where remember going into this, they're 1-5 against Boston this year. So.
Yeah. And the biggest thing about it is Art Howe brought in Billy Koch with 1 out in the 8th inning, understanding the importance of this game. They've not won a series here in Fenway since 1995. Plus the fact they've got Barry Zito going to the mound tomorrow against Derek Lowe. Great pitching matchup, so he's trying to do everything he can to protect this 1-run lead.
Inside to Tejada, who was 1 for 4. And with the base hit, remember his 24-game hitting streak was snapped last night. With a base hit in his last at bat, 36 of the last 38 games he's gotten at least 1 hit. And that still means that May 4th and 5th, the last time consecutive games that he hadn't had a hit for 2 consecutive games.
Well, a lot of guys put up numbers, but when they put up numbers when your team is battling for playoff contention and in the second half of the series, those are numbers that are very impressive. Now he's hitting in the 3rd spot, just like his counterpart Nomar Garcia-Parra. They're in the middle of the order, but they continue to get key hits, and none would be bigger than a base hit right now to pad the lead.
The man signed by Juan Marichal. He was helping the A's out. Tejada signed by Marichal out of the Dominican Republic. He's now 25 years of age. And only A-Rod, Ernie Banks, Nomar, and long time ago Red Sox shortstop Vern Stevens. 2 straight times 30-plus home runs. Shortstop.
He's got a chance to do it a few times.
Yes, like this year. Big rip. That'll hurt, though. That'll hurt.
You know, ball players will get on each other when they foul a ball off like this, but that went right off his shin, and you know, you think, oh, it's just a big bruise, but think back to what it meant for Jermaine Dye.
Yes.
Last year, he shattered his leg, and it's taken him, you know, he's still not 100%, and Matt Williams did it several years ago, fouled the ball off his foot, broke his foot. And you know, you can suffer a very serious injury in something like that, and it certainly has hampered Dye's ability to hit off a solid foundation this year.
Gets under it. Everybody moving for it. Floyd makes the play and left. So after allowing 2 singles, Howie is 2 fly ball outs to the left fielder. Tejada is gone and David Justice is up.
Boy, he had some cut at that pitch. Just got underneath it. Take a look at the swing and the extension. Ball just a little bit inside, and he had to draw his hands in, got underneath it, and popped it down the left field line. Floyd stays with it. I mean, that was just a fraction of an inch from being a big blow for Oakland.
New left field for Floyd to play, and this is not a normal one, that's for sure. What is he checking out the lights here, Buck? Or
just looking around, getting comfortable with the surround. That ball was up there a long time.
Yeah, it was. Well, he's probably a little the Prudential, the Hancock play looks nice over there. No, maybe not. David Justice. Recently hit his 300th home run. So he's standing on lifetime right now. He's at 996 RBIs. So he and Manny this year get to 300 and 1,000. Pretty impressive numbers.
Well, David, of course, came up with Atlanta and enjoyed a great rookie season and then went on to play in the postseason. He's played in 4 postseasons now, and he understands what it takes this time of the year to really grind mentally and never let yourself drift. We've talked about Pedro Martinez and Derek Lowe all night long and how important they are to the Red Sox. That 1-2 punch. And Pedro has talked to Derek Lowe, who's a starter for the first time, and what it means to pitch in August and September in the midst of a pennant race, and how you really have to mentally grind every single time you go to the mound and stay focused and battle the other guy and never let things get in your head other than success. And Pedro's been the master of it. And now he's trying to bring Derek Lowe along. And of course of a long season, Lowe's pitched a lot of innings, his first as a starter, and Pedro's trying to give him some advice on how to manage himself down the stretch.
Inside of Justice. You talk about postseason, Buck. How about this? All right. 91, 92 Braves, 93 Braves, 95 Braves, 97 Indians, 98 Indians, 2000 Yankees, 2001 Yankees. Played a season of postseason, hadn't he? There's a strike. Mirabelli and Howry will discuss this full count pitch with 2 runners on, 2 out. So some of our favorite plays, only better when the bases are loaded, when everybody starts moving. Everybody moves here. Velarde, the pinch runner at second. Ellis, the runner at first. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, top 9. There they go. That was almost to us, just above us. Peter Pasquarelli, Marty Aronoff elbowing each other. Only Trot Nixon could have caught a ball between those two, I think.
The guy went down in the corner in right field.
Here we go again. Everybody moving. And now they'll all move up a base, courtesy of the free pass. So the bases will be loaded for Eric Chavez, who was walked, reached on an error. Really 0 for 3 tonight. Has scored a run.
The third baseman, Eric Chavez.
Howie's gotten himself into a tough spot now. Not only are the bases loaded here, trying to keep the Red Sox within a run, but Chavez is 3 for 6 against Howry with a home run. Cut fastball missed inside.
Well, this is the relief, and here is Tony Cloninger, the pitching coach, out very quickly to the mound. This relief, look, let's face it. Now they're behind, so this wouldn't necessarily be the same situation, but last year, part of the reason Boston hung in till about this time of the year was El Guapo. Rich Garces gone. Rod Beck gone. Tim Wakefield now a starter. I'm not even talking about getting to the end, which was Lowe then Urbina. And that's a totally different part of the Red Sox last year, especially El Guapo. I mean, he not only did a good job the holding games, if you will, he got about 7, 8, 9 wins out of the bullpen.
Yeah, he was very effective for them, and that's certainly been a big void that they've not been able to replace. And the bullpen is awfully tough.
Chavez hits it to center field. Johnny Damon's been busy tonight, but this one should be one of his easier catches. There's a big out, and it keeps it a 1-run game. Johnny Damon due up second here. 9-1-2 for the Red Sox in the bottom of the ninth. Oakland trying to win for the second straight night here at Fenway. 3-2 lead here in the bottom of the ninth. And in one-run games, the difference between the A's and the Red Sox pretty stark, actually.
There's the point you were making about the Red Sox bullpen. Of course, the Red Sox having all sorts of problems down in that bullpen. They have 5 games under 500 in one-run games. And the flip side of that is Oakland and their effective bullpen anchored by Billy Koch, who's trying to wrap up an inning and 2/3 save here tonight.
Old-fashioned save. Bryant Kenny, Soup, Dave Campbell, and Spanky, Mike McFarland, set with baseball tonight when we get done. How about Soup and Peter Pasquarelli on the radio last Sunday? It was, I think
What
the
a
tapes,
tandem.
they've immediately gone to the archives with that one. So here we go, and a pinch hitter here in the number 9 hole for the Red Sox. I finally, after 10 years in the bigs, get this geographically right. Carlos, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea, 3 if by erga. Fitting that he's now a Red Sox. And, of course, an all-star player for years with the Indians. And fell out of everything. He is, if nothing else, one of the spiritual leaders, if not the spiritual leader of this club. Always cheering, always trying to do something. And he looks at strike 1 from Billy Koch.
Well, that was kind of a delayed call by the umpire, Greg Gibson, on a moving fastball down and away. Baerga's in a hole. Watch the movement on this fastball.
He's in a bigger hole. Blooper over the head of third base coach Mike Hubbage. Baerga staying alive, the emergency hack, if you will. I like that term. That's pretty impressive right there.
Good numbers, pinch hitting, 5 for 12 with an RBI, second in the American League. He is personally 2 for 2 against Billy Koch in their head-to-head matchups.
So he's one of the best pinch hitters in the league this year. He's perfect thus far against Koch. I'll complete that when I see the result, okay? All the numbers. You get everything up there. It's a foregone conclusion. They're peppering us up here. That one just missed us to our left. If he keeps pinch hitting like that, I don't know if he's confused Carlos Baerga and Manny Mota or Smokey Burgess, but well, let me complete the sentence for you, okay? There are lies, there are damn lies, and there are statistics. 1 out.
Another good fastball from Billy Koch with a lot of movement on it, and he just overmatches Carlos Baerga. First out of an inning, always big, and there are the numbers Chris talked about. Leading after 8 innings, 57-0. That supports a pretty good starting staff.
Yes.
You wrap it up like that, and Billy Koch has done a heck of a job for Oakland in his first year.
And a Ryan Dern special to the backstop. Why not? Well, you catch that? Oh my goodness! See Damon there? That was great.
And it doesn't hurt. Every once in a while, fire one to the back for effect.
Hey, nobody on. New batter. Yeah, okay. That was Damon giving it the Gleason-esque grimace. Johnny been playing a busy night. A triple. Motored on a ball back to make a grab in the triangle off Jermaine Dye. Charging in to make another grab. Charging in to almost make another one.
Every once in a while, Billy will come out of his delivery, and that will cause him to be up and away to left-handed hitters. He is so
emotional and so intense, sometimes he tries to throw it a little too hard, and that causes his delivery to come apart.
Foul back by Damon. 2-2 with Trot Nixon on deck and Garcia Parra in the hole. Barry Zito against Derek Lowe tomorrow before Oakland moves on to New York, and then the Red Sox host the Twins. So both teams with their hands full this week. Shot wide of the Red Sox dugout. A battle for the ball. Count full to Damon. And it's not just the tying run, but it's a speedy tying run if he were able to get aboard.
Well, and then also would bring up Trot Nixon with a man on, and Nixon's had some success against Billy Koch.
Now the fans on their feet at Fenway. And they're going to stay on there for the rest of the night.
Oh, the life of a closer. Always in a game with the game on the line. And I tell you what, to be successful, you've got to have some emotions. Ball 4.
Well, I'm looking at your gray hair, which I didn't recognize before you managed. And I know Billy was with you last year. Are one or two of those his?
Oh, every once in a while, but he does a good job.
Oh, no, I wouldn't say
on
that.
the edge of your seat once in a while.
There are very few Eckersleys, 1, 2, 3, and we're done. Trot Nixon. One swing could end it the other way. Damon bluffs. Pitch on the inside corner. Strike one from Koch to Nixon. Garcia Parra on deck. Ramirez after that. Crowd has waited 3.5 hours to make some noise. Rally caps. We got people on their feet. Looking for a little Boston magic. Billy Koch has other ideas. Misses. Remember Greg Myers catching here. We didn't properly identify after the pinch runner for Hernandez, the catcher. So count as 1-1.
Just a little reminder to Billy Koch as he extends that hand out in front of his mask. Hey, get it out in front. Finish up the pitch. Get you back in the strike zone here.
He's a good guy to keep an eye on, that's for sure.
26 of 31 in steals, Johnny Damon. You don't want to let Damon get in your head and lay one in there for Trot Nixon, though.
To left center field, it's a base hit. Damon will stop at second, long up with it, and now the tying and winning runs are aboard for Nomar Garcia Parra.
You make all the moves as a manager. Bring Koch in with 1 out in the 8th. Your best pitcher late in the game. And then the walk and a base hit. And Art Howe's going to go to the mound. And let's have a little conversation. Remember we talked about Howe's patience and his calm demeanor. Now he needs to go out, help his closer regroup a bit. Billy Koch is a ground ball double play away from saving this game, and you got to remind him of that. Hey, your stuff is good. Make your pitches. Don't try to overthrow. Just a little wink to Tejada saying, hey, I get it to you. You turn a double play, we'll get out of here. But just a timely visit by Art Howe after a walk and a base hit, 1 out. We talk about the shortstops, Tejada and Garcia Parra, at the top of the show, and here they are in the midst of it again.
Tejada drove in the third Oakland run. Can Garcia-Parra drive in the third Red Sox run? Swinging at the first pitch and fouls it away.
He'll do that. He goes up there hacking. He's looking for something out over the plate. Chris, you talked about Nomar talking how he sets himself up, not really paying attention to what pitchers throw, looking for a fastball out over the plate. He's geared, fastball, makes adjustments to the breaking ball.
Chavez way away from the bag at third, figuring Nomar won't get around on the blazer from Koch.
Koch with the inside move to keep Johnny Damon in check. This is a tough spot. Damon could probably take a shot and steal it. Look how far Chavez is away from the bag.
Fouled away, 0-2.
But a lot of managers don't want you to run in this situation with a home run threat like Garcia-Parra at the plate. Base hit, he's going to score anyway. The only thing that might help you out, possible wild pitch, you can score from third, but I would just as soon have Garcia-Parra hitting without the distraction of watching Damon break the third.
Fastball up high, they appeal, but not this time. I think Nomar would have blown a gasket if Mike Winters said he went around, which he did not. Now that time, to keep Damon honest, Ellis, the second baseman, cheated in for a second puck.
Well, he can play closer to the bag because Garcia-Parra will pull even Billy Koch. He can close the gap a little bit more at second.
Oh, and Koch blew it past him. So 2 out now. And Manny Ramirez is the final Red Sox hope.
High fastball. Garcia-Parra taking a shot, trying to hit one into the net above the Green Monster, but he couldn't catch up to that Billy Koch fastball.
Manny began the scoring in this game with an unlikely for him home run. Off of Aaron Harang, curled it around Penskey's pole for his 18th. That made it 1-0. Jermaine Dive 2-run homer off John Burkett made it 2-1. Tejada a base hit in the 7th inning made it 3-1. Hillenbrand a base hit off of Koch. With 2 out in the 8th made it 3-2, and that's where we stand. With the tying run and the winning run aboard for Manny Ramirez. But 1 out away for the Oakland win is Billy Koch, and he starts out with a strike.
Billy Koch can be all over the place and then paint the outside corner with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. That's tough on any hitter. Remember, Ramirez witnessed Koch sailing one back to the backstop when Johnny Damon was in the box.
Koch has 27 saves as we speak. Ramirez chops that one into the Oakland dugout.
Remember, Oakland has not won a series here at Fenway since June 1995.
This is their 13th series since they've done that, and if they win tonight, they will have won this 3-game series. But number 24 at the plate, hold the phone. Well, the Koch 1 strike away, and the A's 1 strike away from that. A quiet night has turned into a raucous night. Up top to Manny, 1-2. Speedy Johnny Damon, the runner at second base. Trot Nixon, the runner at first. (3-2) Oakland, bottom of the ninth.
Hit well to right center field. Is it well enough? It's back there. Long leaps. He got it. He makes the catch and saves the game. What a finish. by inches, the Red Sox miss a win, and by inches, the Oakland defense saves the night.
What a determined effort by Terrence Long. He never missed a stride, went up on the fence, and when he came back from the bullpen, he had the ball. High fastball. Manny thinks he's got enough. He gives it a ride. Look at the effort by Long. Extends into the Red Sox bullpen and comes out with the baseball.
And the whole team out to the outfield to congratulate Terrence Long. Billy Kotz, I'll take my 28th save. And the Oakland A's have come in and won the first 2 games here in Boston. He also had to worry about a guy twice his size, Jermaine Dye, bearing down on him, Buck. What a grab by Long.
He would not be deterred, and there they are to celebrate. And look at Billy Kotz. Yes.
Well then, if you've hung around for this 3.5 hours, we saved the best for last. Buck, it's great seeing you again, my friend.
Good to see you, Boomer. Great job.
Oakland beats Boston 3-2. Harangue over Burkett with Koch with save number 28, but he might give half of it to Terrence Long, who earns his first save of the season. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. For Buck Martinez and all of us at Boston, I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for watching. Baseball Tonight is next.